just is a marvelous rider.
16 hands high. But what a heart. Touch of class, and Joe Farquharson will be back. There he is with his coach, Frank Chapeau. We'll be back to talk to Joe Farquharson after this.
And do her up if we have
Great Britain. Ted is with Joe right now.
Joe, you've just come out of the ring. I know you're a little tired, but that was a beautiful round. You rode superbly. That's the best I've ever seen you ride. The mare was brilliant. How did it feel?
I couldn't be any happier. And even if I don't do any better than right now, I couldn't be any happier. I've had my limit. I'm really happy with the horse.
Well, she was brilliant. You know, you said the other day that when she's good, and when she's not, she's not. And I think the interesting thing about her here is that she's jumped 3 clear rounds. But even just on that, there's not another horse that's done that.
And I'm so happy with the horse, and I feel privileged to be able to ride on it.
Well,
Wonderful creature.
Well, you've done a wonderful job on her, and I know the two of you work very well together. Any thoughts on the next round?
I'm just crossing my fingers and finding a lot of wood in that round.
Well, I hope you find a lot of wood, and we'll knock on it for you too, Joe. Thanks very much for coming by to see us, and good luck.
Thanks, Ted.
Back to you, Chris.
Okay, Ted. This is the scene, a colorful scene with the variety of paints on the many fences in the show jumping arena at this wonderful venue in Arcadia, California. Bill Steinkraus, we have all the ingredients for an exciting second round where the field has been cut now to 25 lowest scores.
Yes, that's right, Chris. I told you we were going to have a cliffhanger, and we've had just a fascinating morning. As it stands now, there are only 2 clear rounds from the morning, and then there are 5 riders with only 4 faults, and they all have a realistic chance at the medals. Among them are 2 American riders, Melanie Smith with Calypso, and Joe Farquharson, who still hasn't had a fence down in the Olympic Games.
Bill, I'm going to have you recall something. There you see the rundown of Michael Whitaker and Joe Farquharson, followed by Hompel, Robiani, Delaurier, Smith, and Candrian. 1968, when Roone Arledge, Eleanor Rieger, and I watched you on the first round in Mexico City of individual Grand Prix jumping. As I recall, there were 2 clear rounds, an American and someone from Great Britain. Am I correct?
Exactly the same.
So here we have the same situation in 1984. Joe Farquharson to the United States and Michael Whitaker. Does that give them a big edge, would you say, with those big zeros?
Well, what they do is they seed them for the second round. So the 12s will go first, and then the 8s, and they work down to the 4s and the 0s. The 2 clear rounds will go last. There's a tremendous amount of pressure on them. One would hope, in fact, that some of the American riders might be clear in the second course, and that would be Conrad Homfeld with Abdullah and Melanie Smith with Calypso. So,
of course, Bill Steinkraus went on to win the gold, the only ever for the United States. Well, here at Santa Anita, we'll be back very, very soon with the second round here. Exciting competition, but right now back to the studio and Frank Gifford Day. It's a finale event at the equestrian venue, the individual show jumping. Back for the second round, Bill Steinkraus. And what a battle we have with only 2 clear rounds in the first test that these riders have faced today.
It's a real thriller, Chris, and we've got then 5 riders with 4 faults, among them 2 riders from the United States. So all 3 United States riders are very much in the hunt for the medals. We have a very big course. The second course is shorter, but it's bigger. There are only 10 fences. Most of the fences are different fences this time. The heart of this course starts with the 3rd fence, which is an enormous oxer. And let me show you the way it looked when I walked it just a few minutes ago.
All right. Joining Bill Steinkraus now on the course earlier, the second round course.
First big question on this course is, can you jump a big oxer? It's fence number 3. I'm 5'10". As I step up to this oxer, you can see it somewhere up around 5'6", 5'7", and it's spread 6'3". If you can answer that question successfully, you go on to the 3 combination.
Thank you.
The 3 combination starts straightforwardly enough. The wall isn't all that big. The distance from the wall to the oxer isn't all that big, but there's water underneath the oxer. A lot of horses won't know that until they jump in. They jump in, take a good stride, 1, 2, 3, 4. They can jump it from here if they don't mind the water. And if they jump that one, they've got another water following. distance again is okay. It's 2 strides. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 2, 3, 4. But they're Liverpools, there's water underneath, they're big fences, and that's a serious question to ask these horses. Now let's see what the last combination looks like. The final combination is just a great big 2 combination. It starts over that same redwood triple bar, but that's about 5'6" now, and it's spread 7'2". The distance inside is a pretty nice distance. Let's walk it. 1, 2, 3, 4. You're in a perfect spot. It's about a 25-foot distance. But this is 5'3". If you override anything in order to jump the triple bar, very likely you could have this fence down. So this is the last big question on the course, and it's a serious one.
Course designer Bert Denemethe. 10 fences or obstacles, 13 jumping efforts for the horses who have not seen this course. The riders have had the opportunity to walk it, as Bill Steinkraus just did, so they know what it's like.
The medal presentation ceremonies for the 10-meter platform diving competition. Greg Louganis, of course, has already been presented with the gold, and Bruce Kimball with the...
And it is Gerardo Tazer of Mexico. The optimum time is 80 seconds for the water jump, and now a double at the end of this 10 obstacle or fence course with 13 jumping efforts, well within the time, only 1 knockdown, 4 penalty points to go along with his 12 this morning. So that gives him a total of, he has 8 on this round. That gives him a total of 20 points, Bill. And as we have seen, the 11th rider of 27 who made it into the second round, 25 plus ties. Our best round is 4 thus far, and that was Peter Luther of West Germany on Livius.
Yes, I really thought Gerardo was going to have a clear round. Let's see what happened to him in the 2 combination. He really checked quite strongly coming into it. His horse just kind of dropped down and took a bad stride, landed out of stride, and had them both down for a score of 8 and a total of 20.
He leaves the course now. Tazer of Mexico, a total of 20. Second round of 2 rounds, individual Grand Prix jumping. The team competition has ended, the United States winning the gold. But starting this morning, there were 51 riders from 21 nations that accepted the challenge. They then cut the field at 25 in ties, which met 27. And quickly the scoring, it's very simple. That's why this is such a beautiful and popular form of competition around the world. A knockdown is 4. First refusal is 3, second 6, third is elimination. So here you can knock down a fence, you can get your feet in the water, Bill, too, because we do have a wide spread on the water jump.
That's quite correct. And here we have, starting on course, a horse that I really like, maybe a horse that's a year or 2 short of really being in his best games form, Big Ben, ridden by Ian Miller of Canada. Ian is really one of the nicest riders in the world. His horses go so beautifully for him. This is a big, strong horse who looks like he's got plenty of Olympic scope. It wouldn't surprise me to see him jump the first clear round of the second course.
Peter Luther with 1 knockdown or 4 penalty points is the best round thus far. Here's what they call the Beverly Hills Oxer. Too much.
Big Ben got a little bit too close to that near rail and had it down. That's a big oxer. You have to ride the approach right on the nose to have a chance to jump it cleanly. Optimum time of 80 seconds. Time really doesn't matter that much, but if we have a jump off in case of ties for medals, then they race against the clock. That could happen today, right, Bill? Very easily could. Ian had a block out of the wall, so that's another 4 fault. He's now working on 8. But they seed these horses so that they're in the reverse order of their standing coming into this last round. And that means the leading horses go last. And we will be biting our fingernails, Chris, right down to the last horse to go.
Several countries really represented, a tie for the lead with no faults in the first round. Michael Whitaker of Great Britain and Joe Fargas of the United States. 5 were tied with only 1 knockdown. Conrad Homfeld, the United States, Bruno Candrian of Switzerland, Mario Delorier of Canada, Melanie Smith of the USA, and Heidi Robiane. So it's a total of 8 penalty points on this, the second round and final for for him a total of 20. San Gabriel Mountains in the background. We're at Santa Anita, second round of individual Grand Prix. And beautiful Japaloo. He has 2 knockdowns, 8 to go with his 12 of the morning. Clear at the water jump, going now to the double. He showed us that the gelding, bred in France, can really move because he was well under the optimum time of 80 seconds, but 2 knockdowns and 8, that gives him a total of 20. Our leaders here are 2 riders, Michael Whitaker and Joe Fargas, who this morning had 2 clear rounds. 5 were tied with 1 knockdown. Robiani, Homfeld, Cadrian, Delorier, and Melanie Smith, the lady from Tennessee, now riding out of Litchfield, Connecticut. Charming person. Let's go up close and personal.
There are 2 athletes here, equestrian Melanie Smith and her horse Calypso. Why does a young woman devote so much of her time, practically a lifetime, to riding and training a horse to be the best? The days, the months, the years of practice. Why?
Riding for the U.S. team in the Olympics is just a dream I've had since I was very young, and a lot of people say it's not really worth it because actually it's only 1 or 2 minutes out of your whole life when you actually get to the Olympics. But to me, that 1 minute of riding in the Olympic Games is really worth all the practice and all the struggle to get there.
Getting there has taken Melanie halfway around the world, and as she went, her fame grew. In 1978, she was named Rider of the Year. She made the 1980 Olympic team. But as we know now, getting there is not always being there. She manages the care and feeding of the 4-legged investments at Windrush Farms. Calypso works there, too. She's also an account executive for a New Jersey computer firm. Top division show jumping is done on something called the Grand Prix Circuit. In this Grand Prix, all the fast cars are in the parking lot, and the horsepower in the stadium is on the hook. Prize money is big because sponsorship is big. Names like Mercedes-Benz and Rolex. But for some of the athletes, victory means a nice, warm jacuzzi, a rub-down, and maybe an extra bale of sweet hay. This Currier & Ives setting belongs to Litchfield, Connecticut. Quite a contrast with the gentle southern farms of Germantown, Tennessee, where Melanie was born and bred. The United States Equestrian Association keeps a close watch on athletes and their winnings, like expensive cars and jewelry. The association is particularly image conscious, and amateur status is strictly adhered to in this growing sport.
If I can help in any way being an ambassador and emissary for our sport, then I would like to do that, just to be able to help our sport sort of come out of the shadows a bit. I had a wonderful background as a child because I was raised on a farm, and we had sort of 2 of everything. It was sort of like Noah's Ark. And I just rode anything that had to have 4 legs. That was the one requirement. My very first pony that my grandfather gave me when I was 3 years old, her name was White Wind. And that was where it all began. And I just spent all my days riding that pony. And she would put her head down to eat grass, and I'd tumble off over her head. And I'd get back up, and I'd scramble back on, and I'd tumble off again. My grandfather always told me the more times you fall off, the better rider you'll become. So I never worried. I'd just get back on, and I'd keep trucking away. But I have wonderful memories about my first pony.
In the Bible, the book of Job asks, "Hast thou given the horse strength? Hast thou clothed his neck with thunder? He swallows the ground with fierceness and rage."
Okay, Jack Whitaker and the San Gabriel Mountains in the background, and the ring for competition, as it's been throughout these Olympic Games at Santa Anita. 250 by almost 600 feet is that vast arena, which included show jumping and dressage of the 3-day test, also the dressage individual and team, and now the last event, individual Grand Prix show jumping. This rider from Japan just went, Seiuchi Toki. Watch.
Trying to emulate the performance of his countryman who won a gold medal here in 1932.